Hello, hello. Okay, great. I see quite a few people in the room already. We'll give everybody else a couple more minutes to join before we really get started. In the meantime, I'll kind of pull up a presentation that I have to go along with today and kind of give the background of what we're about to get into. But, we're here to talk about AI Forge today. If I'm guessing, a lot of you probably have startups and you're looking to take them to the next level. Artificial intelligence is most likely a core component of what you're building, or you're looking to incorporate artificial intelligence into what you're building. And you're wondering if AI Forge is a good fit for you and your team, for your business, to see if, it's the kind of relationship that would allow it to take it to the next level. If we do have the resources that you're in search of, that you need for everything to be success, to put you further down the road of success on your business journey. So that being said, we'll let a couple more people trickle in. I'll probably get going in about 2 to 3 minutes. So let's aim for 12:05. And in the meantime, like I said, I will pull up just a couple slides that I have to go along with the presentation. Let me see. Yeah, and while we're getting this going, let's see, okay, here we go. And while we're getting this going, on the chat box to the side, we're going to be using that for questions throughout all the different sort of areas that we're going to cover. The way I would kind of put it is, hey, after each sort of slide or topic that we cover, it's probably best to ask questions about the material that you kind of just saw, or the questions or thoughts that you have about it. So let's tackle the Q&A portion like that. I have the box open right here, and I see questions coming in already, which is great. And like I said, we'll just give it about 2 more minutes before we get going. All right, I am going to slowly begin. I'm sure more people are going to trickle in along the way. And, that being said, we'll just go ahead and get started. So the purpose of the webinar today is I'm going to be giving you some tips and some advice if you're interested in joining the AI Forge Artificial Intelligence Incubator. Kind of like I said, but if a couple people missed it, that's okay. I don't mind repeating myself. I'm guessing that a lot of people in the audience either have a startup, they're thinking of creating their startup. Artificial intelligence might be a core component of what they've built, or maybe they're thinking of implementing artificial intelligence. And, they're really looking to take their business to the next level. They know that, it's not something they can do alone. No business can do it alone. They need a lot of help, a lot of different resources, a lot of different people opening doors for them. And they're probably sitting at home wondering, is AI Forge the right partner that can help me accomplish this? So this is just a kind of brief overview of what we're going to get into today. Here's the agenda. First, I'm going to talk about what AI Forge is. Next, I'll move on to kind of the qualities and the characteristics that most likely make AI Forge a good fit for you and your company. After that, I'll take a sort of a quick overview of what the 12 weeks of the program look like. Then I'll talk about the application process, and then we'll really open the floodgate when it comes to Q&A. So that being said, what is AI Forge? AI Forge is a 12-week in-person artificial intelligence incubator. Well, I should actually start with an introduction of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I'm Pat Thompson. I'm the deal flow director of AI Forge Miami office. We're also located over in London. Just in case anybody's tuning in from over in Europe somewhere, or in that hemisphere of the world, it might be a little easier for you to get to London. If you're in the United States or kind of on this hemisphere, it's most likely going to be easiest for you to get to Miami. And AI Forge, back to where I was beginning, 12-week in-person artificial intelligence incubator. And we work with very early stage startups. So by that, I mean, maybe it is just an idea. Maybe it is something that's more of an MVP or a prototype, and you're really just getting it going. you most likely don't have your first clients and customers yet. You most likely aren't generating revenue or turning a profit at this point in time. But you have this really good infrastructure. Maybe you've put together a really good team. And like I've said a couple times already, and I'm going to keep saying it, you're looking to take your business to the next level. You want it to be successful. You know it can be successful. You're just missing a couple resources. So if a startup is accepted into AI Forge, we directly invest $12,000 into their company. We provide a program that's worth $100,000. And by that, I mean, that's pretty much what it costs to get the subject matter experts that are going to be helping you along the way, the different workshops and masterclasses that we've put together, the different kind of events that we're going to be holding and running that introduce you to a number of different opportunities, from maybe meeting your co-founder or potential hires to expand your team. When we kind of add all that up, it's about $100,000 what we spent to put that together. And in exchange, we ask for 9% equity in the startups that are accepted into the program. But what's much more interesting than maybe that direct investment and the overview of the program is what takes place during those 12 weeks of the program. So after having conversations with the startups that apply and the startups that are accepted, we really look to see the areas that they feel like they're weak, the resources that they feel like they need, and we really look to strengthen them in those areas and provide them with those resources that are going to help them accomplish their goals. So a few of the most popular ones, kind of recounting both workshops, masterclasses, and services provided, is we have communications experts come in and kind of teach you how to talk to the different audiences that you're bound to run into on your business journey. It's going to be much different talking to your first and trying to acquire your first clients and customers versus talking to your first investors and having those conversations with them. It really is a different language, and you're going to need to know what they're looking to hear, the best way to communicate your vision to them. And that's something we provide through one of those workshops and masterclasses. We have a very large network of mentors and advisors. It's over 100. And, we like to pair them up with the startups that come through the program. And sometimes the pairings are obvious. And by that, I mean, maybe you have some sort of marketing technology and you get paired up with a veteran from that industry who's been doing, decades of work when it comes to branding and marketing. Other times the pairing might not be so obvious, but the synergy is still there in a way that really strengthens your company. By that, I mean, maybe you're more of a deep tech, hardcore computer scientist, data scientist, and kind of what you lack are the sales skills. Or once again, maybe it is the marketing and branding that helps get your business in front of all the different eyes and audiences that you would like it to be in front of. Pairings like that are really beneficial as well. But regardless, we like to pair our startups up with mentors or advisors who can help them, navigate the waters that they're bound to be swimming in, who can open doors, introduce them to opportunities and different people that are going to be beneficial to them on their business journey. And that's a big value out of the program and something that a lot of the startups, are anticipating and find value in. And also, I'll say this too. Before we started AI Forge, we ran a very successful blockchain incubator called Block Dojo. The founder of AI Forge, he was the founder of Block Dojo as well as the co-founder. In 2022, the Block Dojo was responsible for 24% of all blockchain funding to come out of the UK. And in February, the Block Dojo was acquired. But with the acquisition came an administration change. Co-founder left, founder left, and they started AI Forge. And I'll talk a little bit about our founder here too. This is the 9th company that he started. He's had 5 successful exits. I believe it's 3 crash and burns. And, he's turned his time and energy to artificial intelligence. He's very big on emerging technologies and the impact that they could have on the world. And, right now, AI, not only can it have that large impact, but it really is the platform that is ushering in kind of this revolution in the world that a lot of people believe can introduce a lot of efficiencies in both industries and people's personal lives that weren't there before. And the founder, on that note, he comes in and does some lessons himself too. He's really an expert when it comes to financial modeling, so he helps hammer out the financial models for the companies. The co-founder, he's the CTO of the company, and through him and his development firm called Vianex, he provides the startups with 100 hours of development time. So let's say you are more of the CEO visionary type and you don't have the technical chops. The goal is by week 12 of the program, through the development hours that we provide, that you can have your MVP built. Maybe you are technical and infrastructure isn't a problem. You are still able to tap in and draw down from your bank of 100 development hours to maybe get some development help in the areas that you need it. All sorts of lessons take place within the 12 weeks to, like I say, give you the resources that maybe you're currently lacking, that you feel like you need to help you navigate the obstacles that you see lay on your road to success. And what it kind of culminates into at the end of that 12 weeks are 3 investor dinners, 1 investor finale showcase, where ultimately we put our startups in front of about 200 investors. But even before we get to that point in time, we have investors coming in throughout every week of the program, having conversations with you, seeing the demos you've put together, using your MVPs and prototypes, so that hopefully before you even touch the stage, you have your pre-seed round lined up. And if you're still hitting key milestones 1 year down the road, we help you raise your seed round as well. But even when the program ends, we don't just kick you out of the nest and tell you to fly. We still provide workshops and masterclasses, but they're going to revolve around where you are at that point in your business journey. So by that, I mean 1 year down the road, the focus will probably be more on acquiring more clients and customers, sales, potential partnerships with companies that maybe work within the industry you're solving a problem for, or adjacent to the industry that you're solving a problem for. That could be a sort of mutually beneficial relationship. So in a nutshell, that's the AI Forge program. I know I hopped around a little bit, but if there was any confusion in there, I'm sure some questions could solve that, which I'll take a look at and answer now. And I'll say this too, there's 2 places where you can ask questions. I'm seeing it now. There's a very clear defined Q&A portion, and there's also the webinar chat. You could send your questions in either of those. I'm going to see them. I'm going to answer them. So that being said, I'll take a quick look to see if there's any questions that need to be answered, and then I will move on to the next section. So I'll read them out loud. Hello, I'm still building a pitch deck. I wanted to ask if you guys could push the deadline. So that's a really good question. And I mean, so I'll say this, the short answer is yes. We've pushed the deadline back by a couple of days. And that's because we saw that there were a couple people who expressed interest. They still had a lot of questions. Maybe they were on the fence or they didn't know if working with AI Forge would be a good relationship for them. So, that's one big reason why we're holding the webinar today. And in respect to that, we do know that it's going to take not that it's going to take quite a while, but we do know that we want to give you time after kind of seeing the webinar, maybe going through more of our materials, maybe talking with me directly to apply for the program. So yes, I believe the website might say July 10th, which was yesterday, or it could say July 14th, approaching quickly. But you should have your application in by July 17th if you're interested in being a part of cohort number 1. Couple other questions coming in. Let me see. I'm going to answer the ones that are relevant to this section. If not, don't worry. I have not forgotten about you. I'll just answer them when we get to that section. Okay. So what is the adjusted deadline date? Yeah. Deadline July 17th. If you get your application in by then, you will be in the running for cohort number 1. If anything starts to trickle in after then, it's a decision that we're going to have to make over here at AI Forge, but it's going to be more probable that application will serve for cohort number 2 rather than cohort number 1, just as the deadline approaches quickly. And we did want to give some extra time for those who are seeing the webinar today. What industries? Oh, I got ahead of myself and scrolled. Let me scroll back up. What industries is AI Forge most interested in, or is AI Forge industry agnostic? Good question. And, it's relatively industry agnostic. What's most important to us and what kind of fits our thesis over here is that artificial intelligence, machine learning is a core component of the business solution that you're building. So as long as that's in place, there's the potential for it to be a good fit for the program. But it's not like we only narrow in or hone in on one industry in particular. As long as it's an AI solution, it could be any industry really that it could be a good fit, a good pairing that we can have a conversation about. If we don't have all the financials in place by the deadline, can you still accept a deck? First, that's a great question. The answer is yes. And I'll even expand on that a little bit because, with a very early stage startup, the financials are probably just an estimation at best. I think we both kind of know that what the financial estimates might look like from your chair at home right now probably aren't close to as accurate as they will be once, the program really gets going and you really start to understand the pain points of your paying clients and customers, first clients and customers, market feedback a little bit more. So yeah, if you don't have your financials completely figured out, I still encourage you to apply. All right, I think I'll take one more question here before moving on to the next section. I want to make sure we have time for everything. So how far along should a startup be to apply? Idea, MVP, paying customers, etc. So it really, all of those things would fit into the sort of AI Forge model. You can be very early stage. You can have an MVP. What I will say about having paying clients and customers, you can still apply to the program, but what we've learned from our past lives at the Block Dojo really is that when you have, let's say, multiple paying clients and customers, or really what's probably a bit bigger than that, or what influences it more, let's say you have quite a few people on your cap table, they might want to have a conversation with you, before another company comes in, makes a direct investment, takes equity as well, and helps you build the business. So once again, to rehash, you can be an idea, you can have an MVP, you can have a prototype, you can have paying clients and customers, but really, as long as it's early stage, that's when it's the sort of best fit for both you and AI Forge. Typically, if there's quite a few people on your cap table and you've raised a significant amount of money and you're just a little bit further down the road in your business journey, you might be a bit too advanced for AI Forge at that point in time. And, we completely understand there's no hard feelings that come with that. It just often is that's typically a reality for those who, let's say, have thousands of paying clients and customers versus those who are much earlier stage, like I mentioned. Okay, and I will do one more because this is also very relevant. How many startups are you accepting? So we only run 3 cohorts per year. One starts in September and it ends in the last week of November. The other starts in January and ends 12 weeks out from there. And the other is it's either April or May, but whatever 12 weeks is from that point, and we end from there. And we don't accept more than 12 startups per cohort. So there is never more than 36 companies coming out of an office in AI Forge per year. And now I'll move on to the next section. Everybody's asking great questions, by the way. Keep them coming. And like I said, I'm not going to forget any questions. I'm just going to circle back to them as we're in the relevant section from them. Okay, so who is AI Forge? This is still along the lines of that first kind of slide I just had previously. I'll scroll up one so you can see it. We are investors. Like I said, we directly invest $12,000 into your company. We provide a program worth $100,000. We help you raise your pre-seed round and your seed round with our very large network of investors. So we really do help you with capital introductions, with capital raising. And one of our goals is to take away the headache that comes with fundraising. We're educators. We hold 60 workshops and masterclasses per cohort. A lot of them, like I said, we're looking to strengthen you in the areas that you're weak and make you well-rounded in the sense that you have the technological chops to accomplish what it is that you're building within your solution, but you also have the business knowledge. A lot of that is building a brand, sales, client, customer acquisition. So we try to educate you in all those areas. We're door openers. We have very large networks ourselves from everybody who works at the Forge. A lot of, exited founders within the company. It's not only our founder, it's others on the team as well, other entrepreneurs on the team as well. So we have very large networks of people who are interested and eager to work with the startups that come through the door. And we love to make those kind of connections and pairings. If it's a good match, there's no problem at all introducing you to the people who can make your life easier and can help you make your business more successful than it's going to be. We're mentors. Not only do we have the very large network of mentor and advisors, but the team itself, we love to get down and dirty with your company. We are willing to play as big of a role in your company as you would like us to play. Of course, you always have the freedom, because it is your business, to have that level of involvement, be however involved or not involved you want it to be, but we are here to help you in any way possible. And that being said, we're your teammates. Anything that you need from us, we're really right here to help you with it. We love to help when we can. And like I said, due to our career backgrounds and, the entrepreneurs that we are ourselves, we can probably help you navigate a lot of the obstacles and provide you with a lot of the resources before even tapping into our very large network of others who can provide that. And I'll just take a quick look at questions here. Is 12 per cohort based on location? For example, is it 12 in London, 12 in Miami, or total across locations? So it's 12 in each location. So Miami, in this first cohort, there's going to be 12 companies within it. London's going to be the same. So you can think of those as separate. It's not 12 companies total. It's 12 companies in each location. Let's see if there's anything else. Do you take equity in the company. So in case anybody's joining a little late, I do see a couple more people have come to the room. We do take 9% equity in the company. We directly invest $12,000 into companies and provide a program worth $100,000. And in exchange for that, yes, we ask for 9% equity in the startups that come through our door. Is the 9% equity stake negotiable? So that's a non-negotiable element of the program. We work with very early stage startups, so it's typically perceived as very high risk. But we're really, underwriting that we believe in you, we believe in your team, we believe in the solution. And, we're fortunate and thankful that one, there's great people that work on the AI Forge team, but two, within our network, we're very confident that we are able to get you your first clients and customers, that we are able to book out your pre-seed round. And, if you're still hitting those milestones, that we're going to have a lot of success with your seed round as well. And just a sort of flashback on my end, at the Block Dojo, with the 22 companies that came through the door before we were acquired in February, 85% of them were able to raise their pre-seed round due to capital introductions that we made for them. So we're really aiming to have that same rate of success over here. But I'll say this too, investment is never guaranteed. You have to meet us halfway. We're going to bring the right people into the room who have the appetite for the kind of ventures that you've created. But at the same time, you need to come to the table with a very good product, a very good startup, very good infrastructure with very good potential for it to really work. Let me just shuffle through a couple more questions here. Okay. What revenue models does the thesis support? SaaS, membership, transactional. I'm not entirely sure that I understand the question. You might want to type that one out again, but I guess I'll frame it like this. The way the startups that come through our door, we've seen a variety of different business models. Of course, some of them are more common. That's just kind of maybe a business trend at this point in time, but we're not limited in our scope in terms of, what we recommend your business model to be or what it shouldn't be. We really help you make it the best that it can be, but we're not limited in scope. I hope that answers the question. Not sure if I understood it correctly. If not, just let me know. Must we have co-founders, or is a single founder acceptable? Yeah, you can apply to the program as a solo founder. What it most likely means though, is that, one of your first hires is going to be a co-founder or somebody to expand your team. Or more potential hires is what I'm really saying. And let's say you're a solo founder who's more of the CEO visionary type. That first hire most likely probably will be the CTO. Let's say you're the solo founder who is more of the CTO. Your first hire most likely be more of the CEO visionary type. So there is that balance. But yeah, as long as you're coming to the table with a good idea, and I'm gonna get to this part in the presentation too, with a good idea, you're the right person to take it over the finish line. You stand a strong chance, and I do encourage you to apply. Let's see. Do you help with the Series A round? No, we help with pre-seed and the seed round, Series A, and I'll say the reason for this too. In these earlier stages of startups, it's not typically the same group of investors who are going to want to hop on a Series A kind of round. In these earlier stages, what we've learned is it is more angel investors and angel syndicates and ultra high net worth individuals and individuals from family offices. And then as you move on into these later stages, VCs are more interested in taking the rounds, and different groups of investors come in that may not be ready to come in at the earlier stage because they do want to see more of the quantitative data and the traction around your business and the numbers related to things. So we help with the pre-seed, we help with the seed. We'll do all that we can for the Series A, but that's not we'll do all that we can, but we don't help in the same way that we help in the pre-seed and the seed round, where we really look to have your round lined up and booked for you in those two rounds right there. And I will move on because I am conscious of time. And like I said, I want everybody to, we're going to do a big Q&A at the end. So if I'm not hitting your questions now, don't worry, I will hit them. So a lot of people are probably wondering, would I be a good fit for the program? I've seen a couple questions come in about, the direct investment that's made and the equity and, the recent questions about, are they a solo founders? It's still going to be okay. So over at AI Forge, we have a founder first mentality. At these earlier stages of an early stage startup venture, most of the time, the people who are going to support you on your journey are really believing in you, right? We both know that what an early stage startup looks like on day zero is not going to be what it looks like on, on its final days, or when it does have clients and customers, or when it does get acquired. So what they really say are doing when they back you, they have the faith in you as a founder and you as the founding team, that you're the kind of group that can take this over the finish line. So what do some of these qualities of these founders look like that, make all sorts of different groups very confident in who they decide to back? So one, they're receptive to feedback and they take action on feedback. So the way I would put that, right, you need to be creating a sort of product, service, good or service that your clients and customers want to pay for. If you're creating something that doesn't have demand, or you're getting this market feedback that says, hey, this isn't the right solution, this isn't a problem that we're experiencing, a good founder is going to take that into account. They're going to make a change. They might have to pivot, but when they take it into consideration, it's going to work out for the better for that reason. You need to listen to your clients and your customers and your mentors and your peers, and the information that they give you. And if a startup isn't doing that, it's almost a bit of a red flag, because that's almost the tip of the iceberg. If there's going to be problems there, there's probably going to be more problems down the road that really might stifle success. So another thing I have on here is that the founder is easy to work with. This kind of coincides with number one. If you're difficult to work with, and especially at the early stages, I think a lot of potential people who are interested in working with you in a number of different capacities are going to be able to foreshadow in a way where it's like, hey, if it's really this hard in these early stages, it's probably not going to get any easier. If these are the problems that are showing themselves right now, I wonder what's under the hood. So, you need to be somebody who's pleasant to work with. And part of that goes back to number one and kind of the qualities you have in being receptive to feedback, and really a listener, a good listener who's able to take action. Number three, you need to be the right person to take the solution over the finish line. And, a lot of that is, what inspired you to create this solution? What's your career background? Is it something that kind of gives the audience confidence that you are the right person to create this solution? I'll try to give an example. Let's say me sitting here, for some reason, I decided to start some kind of airline. People are going to ask me all sorts of questions. Were you a pilot before? What's your connection to this industry? And if there's no real link, they're probably going to lose confidence, because it's very difficult to sell a solution into an industry that you've never worked in before, or a problem that you've never experienced before. So that's going to give your audience all sorts of doubts. So you do need to be the right person to take it over the finish line. And you need a viable and feasible business solution. And I think this last part is very important, that has some kind of economic moat, especially when it comes to AI. A lot of people are interested in some of these models that exist and are very popular. Let's say the open AIs and the chat GPTs. And that's great. And it's a really good launch pad to build a product or service on top of. But if you don't have unique data or something that gives you some sort of advantage, there's going to be nothing from stopping a competitor to train the model the same way that you've trained the model and create and basically replicate your business. So you do need some sort of competitive advantage. You do need some sort of barrier around your business that gives others confidence that, what you've created is unique. What you've created is a viable solution, something the market is in demand of. And lastly, you need to be 100% committed to your business. I'm not saying it needs to take 100% of your time and energy, because I'll say this: at the earlier stages, everybody will understand if you need to work some other kind of job to put food on the table and keep a roof over your head. But they do need to see the commitment. That could look like several things. Okay, let's say you have a 9 to 5. Maybe you work on your business from 5 to 9. Maybe it is getting your time outside of the work that's keeping you alive. Maybe you've done a boatload of market research and have had a lot of conversations with people within the industry that you're trying to solve a problem for, so that your audience understands that, wow, they're really committed to this thing. They're having conversations with their target audience. They're spending legitimate amounts of time and energy trying to make this business work. So that's really what I mean by that. And that being said, we're at the end of a section. That means I will check on a couple questions that people have. Not too many new ones, so I'll just answer one before I move on. Process and timing. When will startups get feedback about whether they've been accepted? I'm going to get to that part a little later in the presentation, so I'm actually going to hold out on that one. Let's see if there's one more. How do you quantify the value of the 100K you mentioned, excluding 12K cash investment? And I mean, yeah, like I said, well, maybe for those who joined late, I'll kind of rehash, but that's what it costs us to put the program together. We have a lot of workshops and masterclasses on the agenda. We have a lot of events on the agenda. Even the kind of services we provide, right? 100 hours of development time. You get about 30 to 40 hours of UI UX development time. You get legal support throughout the program if for navigating those kind of legal waters and legal issues you might run into. There are a lot of different moving pieces that went in to make everything a success that we have on the agenda and the curriculum. So when all those things kind of, you add them up together, it costs us around $100,000 to get going. Can we take a look at the future agenda? Yeah, I'll say this, while I'm in presentation, it's going to be a bit hard, but if you go to aiforge.org, and I believe it's on our about page, you get a rough outline of what the agenda looks like. It's been tweaked in a couple of areas, so I will say it's not the final copy. I do have the final copy and knows what it looks like, but it's going to give you an idea of what lessons look like week over week. The only thing it probably doesn't have on there is who's going to be giving the workshops and masterclass if you go to the website. But so just know it's a rough outline, and that's kind of the timelines and agenda that we're sticking to. 9% equity is a little high. Is that negotiable? Once again, it's non-negotiable. We work with very early stage startups that are often seen as high risk. And I mean, we know what we're worth too, right? We are very confident that we're worth more than 9%. Your business, where it starts on day 0 and where it is at the end of week 12, you'll see that it's much further along. And we play a role in that success, and we're really here with you. And also, it makes us even more invested within your company, right? If somebody takes let's say they don't take an equity stake, or if they don't take an equity stake, why are they going to want to wake up in the morning and give your business your all? We really see ourselves as your teammates. We do whatever we can to make it a success. Let me move to the next section here. I see more questions coming in. This is great. Believe me, I will get to every single one of them. The 12 weeks of the program. This is perfect, but since somebody just asked this sort of question about what the curriculum looks like. So weeks 1 through 4 are really about validation. Like I said, these in your very early stages, especially if you don't have beta testers, first clients and customers, you're coming in with an educated guess. What you're going to need to do is have that idea validated. And what that really means is, and probably the most important part in here, is the market feedback. We're going to have people within the industry you're solving a problem for. We're going to pair you up with them, and they're going to tell you right away what their pain points are, if the solution you've created actually solves problems they're experiencing or not. And that's going to help you know if you're on the right track or you need to pivot. Weeks 4 through 8, it's all about traction. You've had the conversations regarding market feedback. You know what you need to change or what you don't need to change. You're getting your MVP in better shape or your prototype up and running. It's really about the product, right? We're going to put it in front of hopefully your first clients and customers, but people who are at least willing to beta test what you've built. They're going to let you know if it's something that helps them in their day-to-day business life and their business operations or not. And from there, hopefully, like I said, you get your first clients and customers, people who are interested in not only beta testing it, not only piloting it, but they want to stay on and continue to use it afterwards because you really have solved the problem, either experience in the industry or experience in their personal lives, or not their personal lives, in their business lives. So they want to stay on for that reason. And then weeks 8 through 12, it's really all about funding, right? If it culminates in Investor Week, we really have to make sure that you're ready for that demo day. It's a lot of pitch training. It's a lot of conversations with investors during weeks 8 to 12 who are coming in, having conversations with you, hopefully backing you before you even touch the stage on week 12. And the final thing here, like I said, demo day, which looks like 3 investor dinners, 1 investor finale showcase, but ultimately you're going to be in front of 200 investors, more than 200 investors. And, if you haven't booked your pre-seed round before that week in the program, it's a really good opportunity for you to hopefully get the backing that maybe you didn't get in one of the earlier weeks of the program. The room is going to be filled with people who have the kind of appetite for the venture that you've created, for the solution that you've created. And, like I said, we're really looking to make sure your pre-seed round, and then 1 year down the road, your seed round is booked out so that, you do not have to worry about the headache of fundraising. Now I see all sorts of questions rolling in here, and we're at the end of a section. So do you consider if the market for the idea is outside of the US? If I understand that question correctly, you can be creating a solution for any sort of country, any sort of market. But I guess it's probably important to say, the program does take place here in the USA. So yeah, you could create a solution for some sort of overseas entity or industry, or maybe the problem that is experienced is bigger over there. That's not an issue at all. Is it possible for me to serve as an advisor if I am not chosen for the cohort? That's a really interesting question. I say, and anybody who's wondering this, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn or email if you have my email. Kind of let me know, what your expertise are and everything. There might be a way to make something work. I'm interested in having that conversation. But also, let's say for some reason you're not accepted to cohort number 1. There's also the opportunity to, sharpen your blade, listen to the feedback we've given you, maybe improve in those areas, and apply for cohort number 2. It doesn't mean that you're completely out of the running. It just means that, cohort number 1 wasn't a good fit. A future cohort might be a good fit. If you have potential investors that are not currently on your cap table, would you like us to wait until AI Forge is on board as an investor before adding others to our cap table? So the thing at AI Forge, if I understand that question correctly too, we don't mind if there's potential investors that aren't currently on your cap table. What we have experienced, and like I said, this is mostly from our past lives at the Block Dojo Incubator, was that let's say your cap table is pretty booked out and that you're much further along. That's usually when it becomes a conversation. We don't mind where we as AI Forge come in on your cap table, but if you do have a lot of investors on there, they typically want to know, who's this newcomer who's taken X% equity stake in the company. So that's just something to keep in mind. But to answer your question, no, it doesn't matter where AI Forge comes in on the cap table. We don't mind if there's people there before us. And, we know for sure that there's going to be people coming after us. A lot of investment questions here, which doesn't surprise me. When I have conversations with startups, most of them feel like the number one resource they need is capital and capital introductions. I can tell you that businesses need so much more than that, because if it was only a money problem, that would be relatively easy, but it's much more than money. But let me see what some of these questions are. Are investors only invested in AI modeling deep in the structure of the app? I'm not entirely sure if I understand that question, so I'll answer it to the best of my ability. First, there's going to be a perfect investor for you, right? Many people want, and I recommend you look for this, you want something much more than somebody who's just going to write a check and forget about you. You want somebody who's going to open doors for you, introduce you to opportunities. Maybe they're an expert themselves in that industry. So, they're going to really be able to help you along and navigate all the different obstacles and talk to all the right people that you're going to want to talk to make it a success. It's more about the solution you've built in the industry that you've built it for, than it is, how advanced you were able to, work off an AI concept or AI model. It's much more about the solution than, your modeling your AI is a very important part of the solution, but if I understand that question correctly, it's not like the room is full of deep tech only investors. It's more about different industries and different solutions being built. Let's see. I see a question about patents, and that could be complex. So I'll save that to the end when we have more time. All right, I will move on. Oh, well, that's the end right there. So let me make sure that's really the end. Okay, the admissions process is the last piece of it. Sorry, I jumped the gun. It's not the end. So what does the admissions process look like? And, I'm sure a lot of you are either at the stage where you've applied, or you're thinking about applying, or you're on the fence. So this is what it looks like. First, you apply to the program, and I'll connect you to the link to the application that takes you directly there in about a minute or two, so don't worry. But after you apply, it's reviewed by the deal flow team. And like I said, I'm the deal flow director. It's a lot of scrutiny around, is this solution feasible? Honestly, kind of like the founder traits that I mentioned above. Is this the right person to take it over the finish line? What's their connection to this industry? Why would both the Forge and maybe, your future backers and partners have the confidence that, they're going to use your solution and it's going to solve the problem they have, that they're going to give you money and they're going to see their money again one day, and that it's not just going to disappear. A lot of that goes into account at the deal flow, I'll call it interrogation stage, right? We're really parsing through these with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that, we know it's not going to be bulletproof, but that you have really good infrastructure beneath you and that you stand a really strong chance. If all is well, it'll move on to the next stage, which is an interview with the deal flow team. So it goes from being this application in a portal that gets combed through to a one-on-one interview through Zoom, through Google Hangouts. It's a video chat, with either you and your team members. It's me at the moment. It's going to be more than me in the future when it comes to the deal flow team. And, we're kind of going to go through some of those same things where I'm going to ask all sorts of, I'm going to ask you to present your pitch deck. You're going to go through it within 10 minutes. The next 10 minutes, I ask you all sorts of questions about what I heard and what I saw. And then the final 10, I let the audience ask any questions for me that maybe they have about AI Forge or anything that's really on their mind. If all is well, from there, it goes to interview number 2 with the investment committee, and that has a judging panel on it. So the investment committee, we have our investment director for AI Forge on there, and he's absolutely brilliant, I will add. And, we have a number of different judges at different times, but who are experts in the industry that you've created a solution for. So, they know all the ins and outs. They know if the problem you're trying to solve is real or not. They know if what you're creating is feasible or not. And what I like to tell people here is they really grill you on the product, its use case, the business model, its feasibility, its scalability, and more. And then, after that interview with the investment committee and the judging panel, everybody compares and contrasts notes. We have a rubric, a rating system, a weighting system where we ultimately come up with a number. And if it's above a certain number, it's a thumbs up, green light, we will extend you an offer into the program. If not, we'll send you back to the drawing board. We'll let you know the areas where we felt like it could have been strengthened and needed to be strengthened. And, it's just not the right point in time to work with AI Forge. And that's the admissions process timeline. And I saw a question in there about how long does it usually take to hear back after these interviews. After interview number 1, you'll hear back very quickly if you've been advanced to interview number 2. After interview number 2, it should probably take somewhere between 10 and 14 days while rolling admissions are taking place. Towards the end of a deadline, it is more of a head-to-head. A lot more come in with much less time to kind of parse through them. But still, I really look to aim to have feedback back to everybody within 14 days of that final interview right there. That being said, and please keep the questions rolling in. Everybody's been asking some really good ones, but that's the end of the presentation, which is good. We have about 15 minutes for questions. And I will say this, it's the Q&A section. And this is how you apply for the cohort. If you just scan your phone's camera, it'll take you directly to the website. The application does not take long to fill out. You could probably fill it out in, less than 5 minutes. It's not many questions. And what's very important is that you have your pitch deck on there too. I should have said that a little bit earlier, but it doesn't matter. I'm saying it now. That's a very important part of the presentation, to have your pitch deck done, complete, and part of what you submit. So that being said, I'm going to shuffle back over to the Q&A. And I will just start going through it. Like I said, there's a question about patents. Let me see if I'm able to answer this. I'm not a patent lawyer, so I'll start like that, but let's see where we end up. How does legal patented ideas work surrounding company formation? For example, if I have a patent, should it be licensed out to the company at AI Forge I am working on, or should the patent be owned by the company in order to appeal to more investors? Yeah, that's a question that I'm going to have to save for legal. Fortunately, I know who asked the question and I can email you back the answer, but I'm not going to take a stab on it without a patent lawyer here with me, somebody who can give you the right answer with no ifs, ands, or buts. So hold out on that one. I'll send you an email about it, but really good question. I like the way that you're thinking. When we know, if I understand this one correctly, when will we know if accepted after the deadline? So, okay, with the new deadline, we've just moved it back an inch. So the people watching this webinar have time to apply. It's the same it's the same process, I'll say. So first, if all is well, it's going to be a deal flow interview. After deal flow, you hear back very quickly if it's going to be an investment committee interview or not. They can be a couple days apart at the shortest, maybe a week apart at the longest. And then from there, within 10 days, within 2 weeks, you hear about the final answer. So July 17th, I pretty much just gave a 3-week timeline from there. No later than, and I'll even move it up because I know, our doors open on September 2nd. So I'd say, no later than August 10th, you would have the answer. What about visas, if not Americans? So that's an interesting one. One, I believe it will be easiest to apply to the office that you're located closest to for that reason. But at the same time, I'm not discouraging you to apply to the program that you think is the best fit. We are also conscious that in different areas of the world, some industries are different and they thrive or they don't thrive depending on where you're located. So if a really good applicant applies, maybe their industry thrives in the US, but they're located overseas, we will do all that we can to get you over here to make everything work smoothly. But, and when it comes to visas, it's a hard answer to give right away because depending on where you're located, you might need a different sort of visa to come to the US. So it really is a case-by-case basis. Any way we can add a link to our pitch deck instead of a PDF. Yeah, I've seen that in applications before. Go ahead. If it doesn't need to be a PDF that you attach, if you host it online somewhere, go ahead and add the link. As long as we see it, as long as we're able to access it and go through it, it's gonna work and it's gonna be fine. Can you share the recording, please? I know this is being recorded. I know that we're going to have a copy of the recording. I need to talk with my team about when and where the recording will be available. So whoever sent that question, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll do my best to get you the recording at the earliest possible. And also, I guess, keep an eye on my LinkedIn, and when this is ready to be posted, when we're ready to rehash it online, I'll make sure I make an announcement that, like, hey, if you happen to miss it, you can watch it again at this date and time in this location. What is the ideal structure for a pitch deck? Really good question. What I like to see, and some of the best pitch decks I've seen, most importantly, is it shouldn't be too long, right? If you think of it as an elevator pitch. Sometimes I open a pitch deck and it's 40 pages long. And, the goal of your pitch deck is, in a very short amount of time, you want to get your point across. You want the audience to understand your vision and what it can become. You want the audience's imagination to almost run wild on, they understand it's feasible. They understand it can be built. They understand you're the right person to build it. You want their imagination to run wild with how successful it can be and all the different areas it can have a positive impact on the world. The best decks I've seen are able to do that in under 12 slides that are very clear. Hey, this is the problem. This is the solution. This is how we built it in terms of, well, this is our competitive advantage. This is why it's unique. This is what we're doing that our competitors aren't doing. And they're also kind of ready to talk about, this doesn't have to be a slide in the deck, but be ready to talk about, hey, why would people use your solution over what the competitors in that space have built? So a good pitch deck, kind of rehash, 12 slides or under, in my opinion. You want to get the problem across, the solution across, how AI plays a role in your platform across, the use case and target audience, that should come across clear. The ideas that you have of your business models and revenue streams should come clear. And, it never hurts if there's a slide about yourself as the founder. What's your background? Why are you the right person to take it across the finish line? Next question here. How do you invest 12K? Is it in the form of cash to the company? Yeah, it's 12K cash to the company. I think when some people think cash, they think cold hard dollars, but it's a wire to your bank account where the 12K goes, and that's how the 12K is directly invested. Scroll down a little more as I follow up to the patent question. Okay, great. More patent questions. I love it, even though I'm not a patent lawyer. Is patentability something that is needed before presenting? So I'm going to say no, if I'm understanding that one correctly. And I'm sorry I keep saying that, but it's true. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what's really being asked of me. So no, you don't need a patent pending. The solution you built, you don't need to have plans to patent it sometime in the future. I think it's not a necessity. It's a nice to have. Depending on the solution you built, it could be an advantage. Definitely. It could be a point of interest. But don't feel like you're, excluded from any sort of chance at success if you don't have a patent just yet. So let me scroll down a little more. If my understanding is correct, the 12-week in-person program in Miami is in Miami. Yes, that's correct. First part of the question. Will the program also pay for accommodation? So when it comes to that 12K that we directly invest, we imagine that most of the startup founders coming to the program will probably use that to cover their living expenses for that 12 weeks of the program. And like I said, too, we help you raise your pre-seed round. We really look to have that booked up for you. So, the 12K, most likely keeping you alive for the 12 weeks of the program. And the pre-seed round is, where we really come in and make sure your company has that kind of fuel in its tank to continue successfully running, to make some additional hires to keep operations going. Another patent question, a lot of patent questions today. Okay, regarding the patent question, I know who asked the patent question, and you just gave me a world of trouble answering all these patent questions when I'm not a patent lawyer. I'm obviously kidding, but let me get to the next one. Okay, regarding the patent question, usually all assets will belong to the company, which they own 9% and you own the rest. Obviously, I would recommend talking to a patent lawyer, though. I don't know if that was a question or more of a statement. One thing I do see in there that could be confusing is that, AI Forge is what owns 9% of the startups that come through our door. let's say there's nobody on your cap table at the moment, you're still going to own 91% of your company. You have the majority stake in your company. Just from the statement, it seemed a little unclear, but I did want to rehash that we only take 9%. We know we're worth more than 9% and we add so much value to the company. So I just wanted to clarify that if anybody saw that and was confused. Is AI, will AI be used to determine if the idea or startup is a good one? They said just kidding, but it maybe was a joke, but I do have an answer for that, right? I mean, at AI Forge, we are an AI first company. We use all the different tools at our disposal as a co-pilot to humans, right? It's not AI just running the show. You need a human there to sense check it. And also humans have this way of thinking that, from what my experience, AI just doesn't have, and all these different nuances involved. So, yeah, with AI tools available, sometimes we do use it to give us some assistance in all sorts of analysis that we do. But no, your idea is not just being vetted by AI alone. It's more of a co-pilot, in different areas, maybe if we need a little bit of assistance, but there's always a human going through it as well. And I'll say this too, if anybody has been to the AI Forge apply page on the website, we do have an AI chatbot that will help you validate your business idea. So let's say you want to make your idea a little bit sharper before you apply, or you want to know, if you're moving in the right direction, or if you need to make any improvements or add or remove things, you can chat with our AI chatbot. The name is Annalise. And, when chatting with the chatbot, they validate your business idea, tell you all sorts of different areas to look at if you're not already looking at them. So, I recommend people give that a shot. It's not only is it a lot of fun, but it really helps you sharpen your blade. Okay. Let's see. Please speak to the logistics of the 12 weeks, lodging, transportation, campus. Great question, because nobody's asked that yet. So our office is in downtown Miami. And then this kind of goes back to the other accommodation question. You are responsible for your own accommodation. What we do suggest is your life will probably be easiest if you're located in an area where you can arrive to the office, maybe on foot, maybe on bike, maybe on public transportation. That typically makes life pretty easy. So it's, we're going to be in downtown Miami. If you're located around that area, you're probably going to have a very easy time getting to office. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in that question that I can kind of parse through, but I think that's most of it. If it's not, just let me know and, I'll answer the next question that you have. Can I submit a video of the MVP after the 17th? The 17th is the deadline, so please submit everything before the 17th. What has happened, and I'm sympathetic to it, is some people submit their application and then maybe they reach out to me on LinkedIn or through my email and they say, hey, I've made a better version of the deck. Please look at this version of the deck and not the other version of the deck. Yeah, that's completely fine. If you find yourself in that boat, go ahead and do it. But, really try to have everything in by the 17th in one go so that we're not piecemealing together what is in its entirety your application. I see we have 7 minutes left and I'm going to get through as many questions as I can with that. So let me see. Does AI Forge plan on having companies within the cohort share technology in order to create exponential growth at a faster rate? That's a really good question. And I'll tie it in from what we saw at our past life with the blockchain incubator and what we're doing here with AI Forge. A really important aspect, and it's kind of understated to be honest, is the other people you're in the cohort with. You're able to learn so much from your peers. And, you're going to have, I can tell you already, in AI Forge, there's people who are going to be in the program who are deeply technical and they have the infrastructure under control and they understand AI models and machine learning models, better than probably on the same level as some of the top people in the world. I'm completely confident in that. And then you're going to have people who are more of the CEO visionary type who really need the technological help. But man, when it comes to maybe building a brand and marketing and, getting clients and customers on board and beta testing, like they really have that under control. What we notice is everybody in the cohort kind of works together. These are your peers. These are the people you're seeing day to day for the 12 weeks of the program. Everybody helps each other out. So it does kind of work out in a way where exponential growth does take place. People are able to achieve success at a faster rate because there is this environment where everybody's together. Are you available to speak privately by phone? If you ask that question, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm going to check my LinkedIn right after this for anybody who's sending me maybe videos after deadlines and private messages about being an advisor or a mentor. So go ahead, send me a message. I'm sure we can find some time to chat. Any flexibility on doing the first 1 to 2 weeks virtually? It's tough, and I don't want to give an answer to that now, but I will say week 1 definitely is very crucial. It's extremely crucial. Interested in hearing, why or why not somebody would or would not be able to make it for those first 1 to 2 weeks. And that's another situation. Please send me a message on LinkedIn and we'll see if we can sort you out. I've made it through a lot of questions. We have a couple minutes left. If anything else is still on anybody's mind, you can go ahead and send it. We do, like I said, we have 5 minutes. But I hit a lot. I went in chronological order. I scrolled all the way down. Right now I'm scrolling up to see if I missed anything. But I'm pretty confident I got most of it. I am pretty confident I got most of it. And so I'll read this. Looks like a statement instead of a question, but maybe it could be a good way to round it out. Maybe it's not. Thank you for the awesome informational session, Patrick. Just my opinion. I think the 9% equity is well represented by AI Forge, unlike other incubators such as Y Combinator or Neo, who do not provide 100 hours of development time by a full team of seasoned developers, UI, UX assistants, or other valuable resources. It's more about forming a strategic partnership or a teammate. And I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, that's a really good comment there. I just wanted to talk about AI Forge today, but, in some of these private conversations, I think some people are going to be having with me, we could talk more about the advantages of AI Forge over probably some of the other names that you've heard in the space. But I'll sum it up like this for the people who are still around. I'll start to land the plane here. We'll start to close it out here. But, AI Forge, like I said, we're really your teammates. We want to be working alongside you in however much of a capacity as you want us to work alongside you. We're entrepreneurs who have been through this ourselves, whether that means we're exited founders or just other people on the team who have started businesses and successfully ran those businesses. And, we're willing to give you all the resources that we have to make your journey a success. There's other incubators. I say they do stadium shows, right? They accept 1,000 people. It's virtual. They quickly see who the top 2 or 3 are. They give them all their attention and resources, and the other 997 are forgotten about. AI Forge, it's small, it's intimate. It's like that small band that's still playing at the bar, but all their fans care and they care about their fans. And we're really here to every step of the journey to make sure it's a success for both parties, right? It's a relationship. We want you to have the best experience possible and get the most you can out of it. And at the same time, we have a set of expectations for you. We want you to show up every day and really give it your all. That being said, we have 3 minutes left. I'll end it like this. Thanks to everybody who came out today to, learn more, to ask their questions. A lot of really good questions today. Sorry I couldn't answer all the ones about patents. Like I said, I'm not a patent lawyer, but I am going to try to get back to some of those people with those questions. If you're interested in learning more, go to aiforge.org, read through the materials. Feel free to send me an email. It's patrick@aiforge.org. I'm sure many people have me on LinkedIn, but if you don't, if you search Patrick Thompson, I'll come up under AI Forge. Feel free to send me any questions you have. I'm really around to answer them, to be as helpful as I could possibly be. So, never hesitate to reach out. And that's all for today. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and, reach out with anything, any questions, anything that's on your mind. We're here to help. Thank you so much.